You finally made it. Your income crossed 6 figures. Your investment accounts are growing. Your net worth is climbing steadily. And the first thing most people want to do is show it. Upgrade the car, move to the nicer neighborhood, wear the expensive watch, post about the vacations. But here's what nobody tells you about looking wealthy. It quietly destroys the wealth you worked so hard to build, not just through spending, but through something far more insidious. The psychological pressure and external demands that come with visible success. By the end of this video, you will understand why the wealthiest people you have never heard of choose to look ordinary, and why that choice might be the smartest financial decision you ever make. My name is Ivan, and I help people understand money, personal finance, and building wealth. If you are interested in getting your finances on track and maybe even getting ahead of the pack, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if this information helps you out. Think about wealth visibility like a fitness analogy. You can get in amazing shape quietly at home, or you can post every workout on social media. Both get results, but one attracts constant commentary, comparison, and pressure. The other lets you focus on progress without distraction. Wealth works the same way. You can build it quietly or broadcast it loudly. But broadcasting comes with costs most people never consider until it is too late. Reason 1. You avoid becoming a target. The first reason looking poor is smart is simple. You avoid lawyers and people digging into your business. People who win the lottery consistently say it is one of the worst things that ever happened to them. Not because of the money, because of everyone who came around trying to get a piece of it. Lawyers, distant relatives, scammers, salespeople, financial advisors who suddenly become their best friend. If everybody knows you have money, you are literally putting a target on your back. Mark Cuban once said, "One of the worst parts about getting wealthy was dealing with the constant barrage of lawyers trying to take things away from him." The more visible your wealth, the more people assume you can afford to lose a lawsuit or settle a claim. Here is the practical shift. Make it hard for people to see what you have in public records. Do not put rental properties in your personal name. Do not broadcast business ownership. Do not make it easy for someone to type your name into a search and see everything you own. Looking poor might be as simple as not being overtly wealthy in public records. You can still have wealth. Just make it invisible to people searching for targets. The consequence of visible wealth is constant legal and financial pressure from people who want a piece of what you built. The action is keeping your wealth private. Get your name out of public records. Do not broadcast what you own. Make it hard for lawyers and snoops to find you. Reason 2, it saves you actual money. The second reason looking poor is smart is that it literally saves you money. There are studies on the psychological impact of living in wealthy neighborhoods. People who try to keep up with their neighbors are measurably less happy than people who do not. If you move into a neighborhood where everyone has a Rolls Royce and a Lamborghini, you feel pressure to match that lifestyle, even if you can afford it. That pressure makes you less happy and costs you money. Let me show you the math. Someone moves into a neighborhood where the average household income is $300,000 per year. They make $150,000. Suddenly, their used Toyota looks embarrassing next to the neighbor's luxury cars. They feel pressure to upgrade. Buy a $60,000 car they do not need. Join the country club everyone else belongs to. $4,000 per year. Take vacations to places they cannot afford because that is what neighbors talk about. $10,000 per year. Over 10 years, that lifestyle inflation cost them over $200,000 in spending plus lost investment returns. Compare that to someone making the same $150,000 who lives in a neighborhood where average income is $80,000. Their lifestyle looks successful by comparison. They feel zero pressure to upgrade. They save and invest the difference. Build real wealth instead of the appearance of wealth. Here's the psychology shift. Looking outwardly at what others have instead of inwardly at what you actually want makes you miserable. Study after study proves this. By living modestly and not trying to look rich, you will actually be happier. You avoid the psychological trap of constant comparison. The consequence of trying to look wealthy is spending money to impress people you do not even like. The action is living below your means in a neighborhood where your lifestyle looks normal or even successful by comparison. Reason 3, you avoid gold diggers. The third reason is avoiding people who suddenly decide they want to be in your life because they perceive you have wealth. Not just romantic gold diggers, financial planners, business partners, distant relatives with investment opportunities, friends who always need loans. Here's a real example. Someone sells a business. There is a press release. Suddenly, every financial planner on the planet decides they are best friends with ideas about what to do with the money. People who never called before suddenly have business opportunities. Relatives who were distant suddenly want to reconnect. This is the cost of visible wealth. Angel investors who put themselves out there in public records get deal fatigue. They are constantly getting pitched by people with business ideas. Why? Because they waved a flag saying, I have got money and I'm willing to share it. Of course, they get bombarded. The smarter approach is putting a moat around yourself, either through professionals who screen opportunities or by keeping your name out of public records so you do not get hit with constant pitches and requests. Looking poor means people do not assume you have money to give away. The consequence of looking wealthy is constant requests for money, investments, and loans from people who see you as an ATM. The action is keeping a low profile. Do not broadcast that you are an investor. Do not put your wealth on display. Make it hard for people to target you for pitches. Reason 4, you avoid stereotypes and judgment. The fourth reason is avoiding stereotypes. Someone makes a lot of money and suddenly their friends treat them differently. They say, I did not change, all my friends changed. And a lot of times there is nothing you can do about it. But you can be aware and not flaunt wealth in front of people. Here's the dynamic. You go out to dinner with the old friends. You see a $400 bottle of wine and think nothing of it. But for someone else that might cause stress or make them feel uncomfortable, there are people who will immediately judge you as one of those people if you flaunt wealth. Depending on your social circles, that judgment affects relationships with friends and family. Someone gets money and the first thing they do is buy the nice car, big house, boat. They go on expensive vacations and share everything on social media, but there are people looking at them differently as a result. Friends feel uncomfortable. Family feels judged. The visible wealth creates distance in relationships that mattered before the money arrived. Here is the identity shift. Being sensitive to how your wealth affects others preserves relationships. Dressing down a little, not flaunting purchases, being aware that what feels normal to you might feel excessive to others. This is not about hiding success. It is about not making others feel less than because you have more. The consequence of flaunting wealth is damaged relationships with people who knew you before you made money. The action is toning it down. Drive the normal car around old friends. Do not post every luxury purchase on social media. Be sensitive to how visible wealth changes how people perceive you. Reason 5, you have enough. The fifth reason is realizing you have enough and being satisfied. Kurt Vonnegut once told a story about being at a party in the Hamptons surrounded by billionaires. His friend asked, does not it bother you that one of these billionaires makes more in a day than you ever made publishing your successful novel? Vonnegut said no, because I have something they will never have. Enough. We all know people still out there chasing. Rich, miserable people who never figured out the other half of the equation. Personal satisfaction. There is something powerful about deliberately driving the pickup truck and wearing jeans because you are satisfied with your life. You like your family. You like the people you work with. Yes, you could do the private jet and the Rolls Royce and the expensive clubs, but it would not make you happier. Realizing that flashy spending does not bring happiness is part of what creates satisfaction. Someone builds wealth over time, reaches financial independence, leaves their job, and sometimes they start getting very conscious about how others perceive them. They realize the expensive lifestyle does not match who they are. They consciously decide not to play that game, not to enter that race, just to be themselves and be comfortable and do things that bring them and their family joy. Here's the principle. When somebody gets a big windfall, they usually blow it because they think flashy spending is what they are supposed to do. But if you build wealth slowly, you keep it because you learn the discipline required to build it in the first place. You tap the brakes, slow the roll on a lifestyle inflation, and you end up much better off. The consequence of chasing visible wealth is never feeling like you have enough. The action is consciously deciding you have enough. Driving the normal car, living in the modest home, wearing regular clothes, not because you cannot afford more, but because you are satisfied with what you have. Let me be clear, looking poor does not mean looking homeless or sloppy. It means not looking overtly wealthy. Driving a reliable used car instead of a luxury vehicle. Living in a nice but modest home instead of a mansion. Wearing normal clothes instead of designer brands. Not posting every luxury purchase on social media. Keeping your wealth private instead of broadcasting it. The wealthiest people you have never heard of follow this approach. They build massive net worth quietly. They avoid the psychological pressure that comes with visible success. They preserve relationships by not making wealth the center of their identity. They save money by avoiding lifestyle inflation. And they protect themselves from people who see wealth as an opportunity to extract money. Stop playing the visibility game. Build wealth quietly. And discover that the best financial decision you ever made was choosing satisfaction over status.